Have you ever wondered what's really hiding in your kitchen drawers or that old toolbox in the garage? What if I told you that right now you probably have everything you need to make a high voltage battery? No fancy lab, no expensive parts, just the stuff you already own? It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but today we're going to break down exactly how you can build a surprisingly powerful battery using nothing but household items. And before you think this is just another science fair trick, stick around, because the story behind these homemade batteries is a lot more electrifying than you might expect. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of Boring Economic Update, where we turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, one story at a time. Let's start with a simple question. Why would anyone want to make a high voltage battery at home? Maybe you're just curious, maybe you want to impress your friends, or maybe you're interested in the way everyday objects can be transformed into something powerful. The truth is, batteries are everywhere. They power our phones, our cars, even our toothbrushes. But the basic science behind them hasn't changed much in over 100 years. At its core, a battery is just a device that turns chemical energy into electrical energy. And you don't need a PhD or a trip to the hardware store to see this in action. Picture this. It's a rainy Saturday afternoon. You're bored, and you start rummaging through your kitchen. You find some old pennies, a roll of aluminum foil, a bottle of vinegar, and a handful of paper towels. Most people would see a mess. But if you look a little closer, you're actually holding the ingredients for a homemade battery that can generate enough voltage to light up a small LED. It's not magic, it's chemistry. And it's a perfect example of how the world around us is full of hidden potential, just waiting to be unlocked. Now, before we get our hands dirty, let's talk about what makes a battery work. Every battery has three main parts, two different metals, called electrodes, and something that lets ions move between them, called an electrolyte. When you connect the two metals with a wire, electrons start to flow from one to the other, creating electricity. The bigger the difference between the two metals, the more voltage you get. And the more layers you stack, the higher the voltage climbs. So, what can we use for our electrodes? Pennies are a great choice because they're made mostly of copper. For the other metal, aluminum foil is perfect. It's cheap, easy to find, and works well with copper. For the electrolyte, we need something acidic to help the ions move. Vinegar is a classic choice, but lemon juice or even salty water can work in a pinch. And to keep everything separated, we'll use paper towels soaked in our electrolyte. Here's where the fun begins. Take a penny and a small square of aluminum foil. Place a piece of paper towel soaked in vinegar between them. That's one cell. If you connect a wire to each side, you'll get a small voltage, maybe half a volt, maybe a little more. But here's the trick. If you stack several of these cells on top of each other, alternating penny, paper towel, foil, paper towel, and so on, the voltage adds up. With 10 or 12 layers, you can easily get 5 or 6 volts, enough to power a small LED or even give you a tiny shock if you touch both ends. But why stop there? What if you want even more voltage? The answer is simple. Keep stacking. The more cells you add, the higher the voltage. Of course, there are limits. Eventually, the resistance of the materials and the quality of your connections will start to matter. But for a homemade battery, it's amazing how far you can go with just a handful of coins and some kitchen supplies. Now, you might be wondering, is this safe? The answer is yes, as long as you're careful. The voltages we're talking about here are low enough that they won't hurt you, but it's always a good idea to wash your hands after handling vinegar or lemon juice. And don't try to power anything bigger than a small LED. This is about learning and experimenting, not building a power plant in your living room. But let's take a step back. Why does this work at all? Why do copper and aluminum, when separated by a bit of vinegar-soaked paper, suddenly start generating electricity? The answer goes back to the way atoms interact. Every metal has a different tendency to give up or accept electrons. When you put two different metals in contact with an electrolyte, one metal starts to lose electrons, while the other gains them. This flow of electrons is what we call electricity. In our homemade battery, the aluminum gives up electrons more easily than copper, so electrons flow from the aluminum to the copper through the wire, lighting up whatever you connect. It's a simple idea, but it's the foundation of everything, from the batteries in your TV remote to the massive banks of batteries that store energy for entire cities. And the best part? You can see it in action right on your kitchen table. But let's not stop at the science. There's a bigger story here, one that goes beyond just lighting up an LED. Think about the world we live in today. We're surrounded by technology, but most of us have no idea how it actually works. We take for granted that our phones will charge, our cars will start, and our lights will turn on. But underneath it all, it's the same basic chemistry that you can recreate with a few coins and some vinegar. And here's where things get really interesting. Throughout history, people have been making batteries out of whatever they had on hand. In fact, the very first battery, invented by Alessandro Volta in 1800, was made from discs of copper and zinc separated by pieces of cardboard soaked in salt water. It was called the Voltaic pile, and it changed the world. Suddenly, people could create electricity on demand without needing a thunderstorm or a spinning wheel. It was the start of the electrical age, and it all began with a stack of metal discs and a little bit of salty water. So, when you build your own battery at home, you're not just doing a fun experiment, you're taking part in a tradition that goes back over 200 years. You're seeing firsthand the power that's hidden in the everyday objects around you. And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to look at the world a little differently, to see the potential in things that other people overlook. But we're not done yet. There's still a lot more to explore. What happens if you use different metals? What if you try different electrolytes? Can you make a battery that lasts longer, or one that puts out even more voltage? The possibilities are endless, and the only limit is your curiosity. So grab some pennies, some foil, and a bottle of vinegar, and let's see just how much power you can create with the stuff you already have at home. We'll dive deeper into the science, experiment with different materials, and see just how far we can push our homemade battery. Stay tuned, because things are about to get even more electrifying. Now that you've got the basics down, let's take this experiment a little further. You've seen how a simple stack of pennies, aluminum foil, and vinegar-soaked paper towels can light up a small LED. But what if you want to push the limits? What if you want to see just how much voltage you can squeeze out of the stuff lying around your house? This is where things start to get really interesting, because the more you experiment, the more you realize that the world of homemade batteries is full of surprises. Let's start by swapping out some of the materials. Maybe you don't have enough pennies, or maybe you're curious about what happens if you use something else. Try using nickels instead of pennies, or maybe even washers or bolts. Each metal has its own unique properties, and the difference in voltage between two metals is called the electromotive force. The bigger the difference, the more voltage you get. For example, if you use zinc washers instead of aluminum foil, you might notice a jump in voltage. Zinc is a classic battery material, and it's actually what's used in many commercial batteries. If you have an old galvanized nail, that's coated in zinc too. Try stacking a copper penny, a vinegar-soaked paper towel, and a galvanized nail. You might be surprised at how much power you can generate. But it's not just about the metals. The electrolyte, the liquid that lets ions move between the metals, makes a big difference too. Vinegar is a great starting point, but what about lemon juice? It's even more acidic, and that can help the reaction along. Or maybe you want to try salt water. Just dissolve a tablespoon of salt in a cup of water, soak your paper towels, and see what happens. You might notice that the battery works a little differently. Maybe the voltage is higher, or maybe it lasts longer. Every combination gives you a new result, and that's part of the fun. Now let's talk about stacking. The more cells you stack, the higher the voltage. But there's a catch. As you add more layers, the resistance inside your battery goes up. That means the current, the amount of electricity flowing, starts to drop. You might have a high voltage, but if the current is too low, your battery won't be able to power much. This is why commercial batteries are carefully engineered to balance voltage and current. But at home, you can experiment to find the sweet spot. Try making a stack with 5 cells, then 10, then 15. Use a multimeter if you have one to measure the voltage at each step. You'll see the numbers climb, but you'll also notice that the LED might get dimmer if you go too far. That's the resistance at work. But what if you want to power something bigger than an LED? Maybe a small digital clock or a tiny motor. This is where things get tricky. Most household batteries can't deliver a lot of current, so you'll need to experiment with different materials and designs. Try using larger pieces of metal or thicker paper towels to hold more electrolyte. Or maybe try connecting several stacks in parallel so they share the load. It's a bit like building a tiny power grid right on your kitchen table. And here's a fun twist. What if you want to make your battery portable? Instead of stacking everything on a plate, try using a plastic container or an old pill bottle. Cut your metals into circles that fit inside, and layer them with paper towels soaked in your electrolyte. Seal it up, and you've got a homemade battery you can carry around. It won't last forever, but it's a great way to see how batteries are put together. Now, let's take a step back and think about what's really happening here. Every time you build a new battery, you're running a tiny chemical factory. The metals are reacting with the electrolyte, giving up and accepting electrons, and that flow of electrons is what powers your devices. It's the same process that happens in every battery, from the AAs in your TV remote to the massive lithium-ion packs in electric cars. The only difference is the materials and the scale. But there's another layer to this story. Think about the economic side of batteries. In the early days of electricity, batteries were expensive and hard to make. Only scientists and inventors had access to them. But as technology improved, batteries became cheaper and more common. Today, they're everywhere, and we barely think about them. But the basic chemistry hasn't changed. It's still about finding the right combination of metals and electrolytes to get the most power for the least cost. And that brings us to a bigger question. What does it mean to make something valuable out of ordinary things? When you build a battery from household items, you're turning everyday objects into something useful. You're creating value where there was none before. That's the heart of economics, taking resources and turning them into something people want or need. It's the same principle that drives everything from lemonade stands to global corporations. But there's a flip side. As batteries have become more common, we've started to take them for granted. We throw them away when they're dead, and we rarely think about what goes into making them. But when you build your own battery at home, you start to see the process differently. You realize that every battery is a little miracle of chemistry and engineering. You see the effort that goes into making something as simple as an AA battery, and you start to appreciate the hidden complexity in the world around you. And here's where curiosity really pays off. Once you've built a few batteries, you start to wonder, what else can I make? What other hidden powers are lurking in my junk drawer or kitchen cabinet? Maybe you'll try building a lemon battery or a potato battery. Maybe you'll experiment with different metals or try to power a bigger device. Every experiment teaches you something new, and every failure is just a step on the way to success. But let's not forget the bigger picture. The world is changing fast, and batteries are at the heart of that change. From electric cars to renewable energy, the demand for better, cheaper, and more powerful batteries is only going to grow. By experimenting at home, you're not just having fun, you're learning the skills and knowledge that will shape the future. Who knows? Maybe your homemade battery will inspire you to invent something new or to look at the world in a different way. And as you keep experimenting, you'll start to notice patterns. Some metals work better than others. Some electrolytes last longer. Maybe you'll discover a combination that nobody's tried before. That's the beauty of science. It's all about curiosity, experimentation, and discovery. And the best part is, you don't need a fancy lab or expensive equipment. All you need is a little bit of curiosity and the willingness to try something new. So, keep building, keep experimenting, and keep asking questions. The world is full of hidden potential, and you never know what you'll discover next. We'll wrap things up, talk about some of the challenges and limitations of homemade batteries, and explore what this all means for the future of energy and innovation. Stay tuned, because the story is far from over. As we bring this electrifying journey to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered. You started with a handful of coins, some kitchen foil, a bottle of vinegar, and a few paper towels. Maybe you even raided your junk drawer for some old nails or washers. What you built wasn't just a science project. It was a window into the hidden world of energy, chemistry, and innovation that powers our modern lives. And if you followed along, you probably felt that little spark of excitement when your homemade battery lit up an LED or made a tiny motor spin. That's the magic of discovery, and it's something that never gets old. But as with any experiment, there are challenges and limitations. Homemade batteries are fun, but they're not going to replace the ones in your phone or your car anytime soon. The voltage might be impressive, but the current is usually pretty low. The battery might work for a few minutes or a few hours, but it won't last forever. The materials you use, copper, aluminum, zinc, vinegar, are cheap and easy to find, but they're not optimized for long-term performance. And as you probably noticed, the more cells you stack, the harder it gets to keep everything lined up and working smoothly. Sometimes the paper towels dry out, or the metals corrode, or the connections get loose. That's all part of the learning process. But don't let those limitations discourage you. Every great invention starts with a simple idea and a willingness to experiment. The first batteries were crude and unreliable, but they paved the way for the technology we rely on today. When you build your own battery, you're following in the footsteps of pioneers like Alessandro Volta, Michael Faraday, and countless others who saw the world not just as it is, but as it could be. You're learning to see potential where others see only scraps and leftovers. And that's a lesson that goes far beyond batteries. In economics, in science, in life, the ability to look at ordinary things and imagine new possibilities is what drives progress. It's what turns a pile of coins and some vinegar into a working battery. It's what turns a simple idea into a global industry. And it's what keeps us moving forward, even when the odds seem stacked against us. So, what's next? Maybe you'll try building a bigger battery or experimenting with new materials. Maybe you'll start thinking about how batteries fit into the bigger picture, how they power our homes, our cars, our cities. Maybe you'll start to wonder about the environmental impact of all those batteries we throw away, and what we can do to make energy storage cleaner and more sustainable. Or maybe you'll just enjoy the satisfaction of knowing that you can make something powerful out of the stuff you already have. Whatever you decide, remember that curiosity is your most valuable tool. The world is full of hidden opportunities. The only way to find them is to keep asking questions, keep experimenting, and keep learning. Every time you try something new, you're adding to your own store of knowledge and experience. And who knows? Maybe one day you'll be the one to invent the next big breakthrough in energy storage, or to solve a problem nobody else has even thought of yet. And here's something else to think about. The next time you pick up your phone, or turn on a flashlight, or start your car, take a moment to appreciate the battery inside. It might look simple, but it's the result of centuries of curiosity, experimentation, and hard work. And now, thanks to your own homemade battery, you have a little bit of that magic in your own hands. So if you enjoyed this journey into the world of homemade high voltage batteries, let us know in the comments below. Share your own experiments, your successes, your failures, and your wildest ideas. Did you find a new combination of metals that worked even better? Did you manage to power something unexpected? Or did you run into a challenge that you couldn't quite solve? We want to hear your stories, your questions, and your discoveries. And if you think someone else would enjoy this video, don't forget to share it with them, because the more people get curious, the more we all learn together. Thanks for joining us on this electrifying adventure. Remember, the world is full of hidden power, just waiting to be discovered. All it takes is a little curiosity, a few household items, and the courage to try something new. Until next time, keep experimenting, keep learning, and keep looking for the extraordinary in the ordinary. This has been Boring Economic Update, where even the most boring things can spark a world of excitement. See you in the next video.